All right, welcome back to another programming concept in Python. Today we are looking at slice, slice object to be specific, and my disclaimer, and then let's jump straight to the code. As always, I lay the plan of how I'm gonna be presenting this. I prefer using examples that kind of showcase what the whole idea is behind, and that you can use as a reference into your specific use case to solve a particular problem. So, what is slice? Slice is defined, first of all, it's a built-in function and it's defined reusable slices. Like the word says it, slice. Think of it as cutting something. So that's what a slice does. And like I said before, this is a built-in function that creates objects that represent a start, a stop, and a step. So we'll look at that when we go through the three examples that I've prepared for us. So why you want to use this? Flexibility. You don't want to always have to specify when about the slice need to take place, where it needs to start or need to end. Maybe you want to have a standard start end of maybe a particular text that you're extracting from documents, or you have a list of items that you're pretty much sure the slice or the cutting will always be on those positions. So it's pointless to have to write the same code again. You can just define that slice and then move it as you would like to within the item that you're trying to slice. So like I said, slice has a start, stop, and a step. It's just the word and the open and close bracket. If you only pass one parameter, then it's considered as a stop, meaning it starts from position 0 of the item that needs to be sliced and then stopped exactly at that position called index. So, and then if you pass 2 parameter, then you specify the start and the stop. And if you're passing 3, then you are specifying the start, the stop, as well as the step, meaning do we move by 1 step, do we move by 2 steps within the item that we're trying to slice. That's basically it. So a simple example just to showcase what exactly it is that we're looking at. So actually, let me start with a single one for now. Yeah. So example number 1 is I have defined a slice. So I went kind of a long way. So I've defined a variable, and the variable contain my slice. So as you can see, it's a keyword SLICE, open close bracket, specify the start position 1 and the end position 4. And if you look down the line here, and also note that the last item is always excluded. So here I'm using a combination of inbuilt functions. What this allows me to do is to declare a list of items, as you can see. And in the list of items, I specify 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. And the respective position is 0. 10 will be in position 0, 20 position 1, and so on and so forth. So, and my slice is basically going from position 1 to 4, meaning we're going to skip position 0. Position 1 will be 20. Position 2 will be 30. 3 will be 40. 4 will be 50. And therefore 50 will be excluded. Now, the format is basically as simple. You probably noticed already. So it's the item that you want to slice, and then let's comment that so we don't have those errors popping. So the item that you want to slice, open square bracket, and then the slice. In my case, I use my underscore slice, but if you don't want to do that, you can just pass the item directly within the bracket. So, but I prefer to basically, okay, maybe I think we can try that later on, so I'll leave that for now. But that's basically the concept here. As you can see, you can pass the slice within, and you should still get your answers. Yes, so you can do something like that if you don't want to set up a variable and then pass it in, or you can use the long route and use that. So I'm gonna do something extra and say my underscore list, and I'm gonna assign the value of my list right here. So I'm gonna take that. Nope, let's cut that out and assign that to that, and we're just gonna copy those two items and place them like that. So it should still get the same answer. So what I'm gonna do is basically run this. So Python main.py, and you can see I'm getting my value of 20, 30, and 40, and 50 being excluded because that is located in position 4. So that's the basics on the first example. So we're going to be looking at example number 2, and this one is kind of text-based. Oftentimes when you are given or you have a token, you usually have a setup like this one, and maybe your scenario requires you to split these two items for further processing, and you just want to get the bare word out and then keep the other value encrypted that is embedded. So, and you're quite sure that the word bearer is always going to be from position 0 all the way to 6. So if you go to bearer, you can see it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so including the space. So you can do that, the scheme, and you can do the same thing for the value, starting from position 7 all the way up now to none, meaning all the way to the end. So that's a pretty simple example, and what you end up with is like we've done before, print token, we pass the first slice, and then we pass the token again. We say, hey, grab anything from position 7 all the way to the end, and that's what we're ending up with. So if I run that and enter, you can see that I'm getting bearer and then the second part of the token. So that's another way of using slice. Now we're gonna look at example number 3, and this is a pretty long one, but we're gonna stick to it. This one is again another way of processing text. So here I have a raw text, as you can see, and my raw text is formatted in the text format. So I have a new line for each item. Maybe in your scenario, you're probably gonna have something slightly different, or maybe following more or less the same structure, but something that is easy enough to process. So that is what I have. So I've set my headers. So everything with H1, H2, H3, these are just headers, and then A and B represent my the body of the text, and end here is okay, represent the part of my the end or the footnote of my text. So, and this could be something small, it could also be something big enough, but ideally based on this example, you would want something that probably doesn't change that often in terms of text or in terms of structure, so that your split or your slice is almost always true. So then I do further processing here where I'm just basically going line by line, stripping it. So the first line it grab, remove the spaces, so I only end up with the text and in the row text, and then split it by line and add it to the to a list. So everything that's been processed here, you can see I have a for loop in the row text split by lines. It will be turned into a format that looks something like this. So I'm gonna have a list, and inside the list I have each item separated by comma, and this allow me to process it further and to basically repeat what we've learned so far from the previous example. Now, with that being, with this in mind, it's easy now to look at how we're gonna basically use our slice to split or somehow cut this in a way that we want to print it out. So I have a header, so you can name it whatever you want. I have a header, and I'll use the keyword again is slice, and 0 to 3 represent my headers. So as you can see, item 0, 1, 2, 3. Now remember, the last item on the list is always excluded, so it's only going to grab the first these first 3 from position 0, 1 to position 2. Now I have the body, and I say okay, cool, from position 3, which is basically that's a 0, 1, 2, 3, and all the way to -1. So the last item will be excluded, and we'll take the item before that. So 3, and it's gonna look at 4 here, and then this is the last item, exclude that, and it only grabs these 2. So hence why I have 3 to -1 here. And then footer is basically going to be the last item all the way to the end. So anything after that, which is only going to be end, we represent the footer. And there you have it. You my slice allows me to do this, and if this is always the format of the text that I'm receiving in my machine or environment or processing or whatever it is, then this will always work. And then it's just a matter of maybe changing a few things in terms of numbers, positions, if ever there's an extra, instead of changing the whole line of code. So this is where slice becomes very handy. And if I run this, and I'm going to run that, so Python main, as you can see, I have my headers right here, I have my body right there, and I have my footer right here. So, and this data can be passed on to another section of code that does something with the body, or maybe does something with the header, and the list goes on. So that is basically what I wanted to show you when it comes to slice, and how you can go about using this Python inbuilt function in your solution. I hope you've learned something new. Until next time, keep well. Bye-bye.